Welcome back, everyone, to the Elite Series League of Legends Division 2 here on the Wift Entertainment channel. My name is Daniel, and of course, on my side, still the wonderful Freshtana, our LCK caster, here with us plebs to do some Isalol Div 2.
You are no pleb. You are a wonderful caster, and I'm glad to be here. I'm really honored by the fact that you wanted me for this league. I mean, that's really a true story. Like he called me to give me the chance to be here. I mean, he is the man who should get all the credit.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we will have a game coming up apart from all our flirtery here. And it will be between Dynasty and the boys from help me out. AOMA Esports, a one-man army coming their way, of course. And I think you have a bit of a personal story as well with Dynasty, or at least with their jungle.
I will tell it in every single stream. Every single time I will see Dynasty, I need to say that Scan is my boy, my jungler from last split. Like, he's an incredible jungle talent, and it's really great to see him on such a big stage.
What do you mean with your jungler? Do you have a team?
Yeah, I have a team in Prime League, and they played for me last split. So yeah, that's my story with Scale. And basically, I have even a story with AOMA, because AOMA's coach, the wonderful Vamir, like he's a really good coach. He already like coached like Unicorns of Love and Big, and even like Chaos Latin Gamers in South America, just to say it. And then later like Chili Mountain and stuff. Anyway, and Vamir is really a wonderful guy, and I even met him in person on the Austrian Comic Con back then, 2019, where he coached like Unicorns of Love, and I sat right next to him, and like I saw how he managed his team and stuff, and what a great guy. So Vamir, coach of AOMA, I greet you if you ever will see it. I don't know, but you are a wonderful person.
Oh, really cool. So some pretty big people here in the league, but yeah, I think you didn't quite get the hint to like say the name of your team, so I'm just gonna do that for you, guys. If you want to follow the team of Freshtana, you should go check out Nico Elite on Twitter. They are Prime League Div 4,
yeah,
the 4 team. And yeah, I think the way Freshtana manages that team is a really great one, because he always is so supportive with his players and everything. And of course, Scan was one of this player, and I think Scan is also just a very lovable person in general, because like his Twitter game is on point. That man is a meme beast.
Yeah, definitely. Like he started to meme a few guys from Rift like the whole season, and like yeah, he's just really he's someone else, and I even like talked a lot of puzzle stuff with him, and yeah, he even wants to marry right now. So, or at least he is like engaged with someone. So I mean, he's incredible. Just give some love out for Scan. I mean, what a beast.
So if you are watching right now, Scan, congrats on your engagement, and good luck for the future, of course. And we hope that the marriage won't keep you from playing League, because you're just a legend and you gotta stay.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we are giving him a lot of credit right now. Let's hope he can also live up to that, as we are in the champ select between this game here, Dynasty versus AOMA Esports, a game for the top, to say the least, and one where Dynasty has to win an important point and can really make this league even more interesting. And so far we've seen already a few bans, but I will leave that up to you for now, Freshtana.
I mean, we only see ADC bans. I mean, just look at that. Oh no, they least they oh man, AOMA, like you could just have banned, I don't know, Ashe or something, just to have 6 ADC bans, but then you screwed it. Like all the things I said about Vamir, no, he's not an incredible man. He just ruined the whole draft. No, just kidding. Vamir, both. Anyway, so there are a lot of strong champions open right now just because of that. Like the Ashe, for example, I would really like to see Ashe pick up here and there. But there's Sejuani first pick, which is really quite surprising, at least for me. Because I wouldn't say she is like the strongest jungler right now. I mean, she is strong, but usually like other junglers just have the edge on her. And then, of course, you can just swap her to top lane as well. And there's even sex, so we kind of... Oh, maybe not. Okay, that's why you never talk about Havas anyway. But yeah, I quite like Sejuani, but she's a little bit one-sided, I would say.
Yeah, I think it definitely is already speaking a long way for Dynasty's team fight and the way they want to play this game. But yeah, maybe Skaln is just super confident on the pick and says, like, give me Sejuani and I will carry the game. But an interesting thing you talked about in the beginning is this strong AD carry focus in the bans. And I feel like that speaks for two things. First thing, that AD carries are just super broken and super important, and in general bot lane is super important on the current patch. And the second thing, it just shows how important Dark Unique and Buis are for both these teams. Like they were, I think Dark Unique was MVP for Dynasty and Buis was at least in the one for it if he didn't even get the title. No, I think it was Mark who got the title for AOMA, but Buis was definitely in the one several times already also for MVP. So both these players are incredible AD carries, and yeah, I think that is definitely the reason why we see so much focus on AD carry right now. Now, of course, Xavier and Lulu also being picked up here for Dynasty, so we can see already their bot lane. And then on the side of AOMA will be Tristana together with the Annie, maybe, but Annie, of course, also flags towards the mid lane. What do you think of Annie?
I really like Annie. Like, she's so strong right now. And even like in the LCK casts, I saw like Faker just dying over and over again against an Annie. I mean, it's just, she's so easy, and that makes her so strong. You just have always this point to click stun, and like a lot of like team fighting. The shields are really, really strong, especially from the support side, and just like this little speed up like gave her so much for the kit. And I really like Annie as a pickup. They kinda can swap around a lot with Annie and with Tristana, because of course Tristana could still be mid lane, Annie could mid lane, Annie could support. So there are a lot of flexibility in this draft from AOMA. So they really want to flex everything around, and even a Zac. I mean, we saw Zac mid lane, we saw maybe even saw some Zac top lane, at least in past seasons. So that's at least something you need to keep in mind in this draft, that they can still swap everything, and especially those two bans right now, or at least the Belraft says a lot about the potential Sejuani top lane. Just because they still don't trust the bait with Sejuani top lane or with Sejuani jungle, so they ban out a top laner and a jungler because they don't know it. And on the other side, like Kassadin and Olaf gets banned out. So definitely some more meta ban right now in the second ban phase. And yeah, at the moment, both teams really try to go for those engaged team fights. Like last game, we have a lot of engagement on the potential jungler for both sides, and then we have like those ADC or the supports with Annie or with Civio can just always engage as well. And there's the Twitch. So that could be the Tristana mid lane now being shown. Or even some crazy stuff, I don't know, Twitch support with Tristana, and they still flex the Annie mid lane. So AOMA definitely wants to keep all things open right now.
Yeah, definitely a beautiful draft there from AOMA, and still everything open on that side for the West. For Din, I think it's looking a bit more clear. They will get that Akali for Frankie here in the mid lane, which is a phenomenal mid laner, of course, currently. Has also, I think Frankie played it a few times as well, but I think it was especially Pertinex outperforming on Akali last week. And now it will be the Wukong, so that will most likely go to Skaln again, and then we will have that Sejuani on the top lane. So AOMA definitely right move here not to trust the Sejuani just yet as a jungler. If the Balvev ban was the right one is still discussable, because I think like Wukong is really one of the main champions of Scouts. Like, he has been playing that so much already. That might have been a better ban there, but maybe they wanted to keep that open. Maybe they even have a strategy here against it. And we'll pick up the Fiora here last to encounter the Sejuani. I think also pretty good counter pick there, because Fiora will most definitely win that lane.
Yeah, it's outscaling on the side lane for the whole time, more or less. I mean, there are some chances for the Sejuani, especially with Wukong together. Like, if you have Sejuani in the jungle, you always say you want a melee champion on the top lane just to get those stacks. And in this case, if you have a top lane, you want a melee champion in the jungle to get the melee stacks, of course. So, and if you just, if the Fiora, for example, just pushes her in carelessly, maybe even with a bad ward or something, then Wukong Sejuani can definitely run her over. But I think we saw an incredible performance from Mark on Fiora, like the last time I was in the cast, and I think he even got the MVP for that. Like, there was this 3-man tower dive top lane or something where he just crushed everything. I think it was against Reapers or something, because I remember something like the Olaf from Wind or something, and he Olaf almost always like got her in the 1v1 and then got ganked, so she won the lane, and then they tried to 3-man dive the Fiora, she just got 3 kills or something. So Mark is an incredible top lane player, and especially on Fiora, so I would not count them out. And especially from the draft, I mean, it's so wild to see like a draft with so many flex picks on the side of AOMA. Like you said, it's an incredible good draft from them, and like it's really hard to make a. I mean, so many champions like give you the opportunity to swap around a lot, but kind of like restrict you because you need to play those champions, and you can't because you wanted to draft them as a flex pick, and then you can't decide for another because you need to play them. And I think that's definitely a big problem for the mid lane matchup, because any Tristana can't really win against Akali. So they needed to draft like a bad matchup there, just because they wanted both flex picks. And so that could make something really difficult for AOMA. This mid lane matchup could really go in both directions, especially if you consider just some ganks. Then Akali could have a hard time, or even Tristana, of course.
Yeah, and with that, we go into this game between Dynasty and a one-man army. And the one-man army is going as 5 here towards that bot lane to clear the ward. Who doesn't know it, the danger of the ward, but they wanted to share that gold with the entire team. No, because I'm joking. They probably tried to be a little bit sneaky here, but they were immediately met by the Lulu and decided now to split up and go to their lanes respectively, take a position. And I think the rest we won't see much of interest during this first minute or so of the game.
No. I mean, we analyzed it a lot and talked a lot about the draft, but didn't really say which of those two teams have the better draft. So what's your opinion? Who won the draft in your opinion?
I think the draft of a one-man army here has a lot of potential and especially a lot of possibilities. It's much more flexible than the one from Dynasty, because they have this Fiora, which can probably later on split push and be sent to the side lane. They have some great engage in the Zac and the Annie, of course. They have also a nice switch between damage and in AP and AD, and they have, of course, with 2 AD carries, a lot of scaling. But I really like the commitment of the Dynasty draft as well. And I think I would even go with the Dynasty draft here, just because that is kind of my personal preference of what I like to see in League of Legends. You have like a clear commitment to the Sivir as your carry here. Then you have the Akalias and Assassin to get in the backline and probably destroy both these AD carries on the side of AOMA. And then, of course, you have a Boozer jungler and the tank on the top lane with a lot of engage. So it's this kind of very classy team comp that we can see on the side of Dynasty, and which I really love and enjoy watching.
Yeah. It's easier to play, especially just because you just have an engaged comp, you just want to run them down, so it's basically a little bit easier to play if you compare it with like a split push comp, where they definitely want to mark to sit on the side lane. They need to like build up vision for him. They don't want to get engaged 4v5, for example, so they always need to play around the split pusher, which is always a little bit harder. And then, of course, like Tristana mid lane, like you can counter as a little assassin, for example, or as a hyper carry in the mid lane, but like that's really hard to like get through, because if you just get engaged over and over with the jungler, for example, then you are just an ADC who is behind. And even alone, so he hasn't a support who can like get him out of ganks, for example. So I think it's harder to play for AOMA, and that's why I usually like the more easier team comps as well. But we have a lot of tension here.
Yeah, gank here on the bot lane now from Skaln. Does a little bit of damage there to Ubis, but Gabosh is there as well, of course. Gets a lot of damage from the Zivir there, however, already, as Lotus is also coming down, has the bomb there on Sniller. Nice dodge there from the rest of his teammates to not share that damage too much. And Sniller, of course, moving out of danger. And yeah, with that, we will not see any kills here. But of course, already the first roams there from the mid lane to Sana. Was of course able to get that situation. Now with the TP, I think no, it wasn't the TP, but how did Scan get there?
Yeah, just a little sneaky in-lane gank, just sneaking in through the brushes. And I mean, he was on bot side after this little skirmish from both sides, so they could have knew that he could be still around, but especially if you have no control over the brushes and he just sits there and then can just jump in invisible, then it's always just hard to see it coming. So really well played by Scale, and I think it's like he does that every single game. I mean, he is so much on this bot lane. He always sits there and tries to go for those in-lane ganks. So I think it's the second or third time that we see a Wukong from him just coming from that angle. So really well played by him to always set his team up. But a little bit sad that Sniller, of course, gets the first blood. You usually want your gold on your hyper carry, or even on the jungler, just to have the gold all over the map. Because if Wukong gets ahead, then he can just bring this gold to the top lane, to the mid lane and stuff for the objectives. Meanwhile, if you just have it on the bot lane, it's usually scales a lot better, but it kinda doesn't help like the top side, for example. And
yeah, no, definitely. Now, Bu is trying to get a little bit of damage there onto Sniller with the poison. That always works pretty well, but yeah, not too much going on there, I think. And it will probably also stay this way until Edward gets this mighty level 6 and probably Tibbers with that. And then the AOMA bot lane will probably get the upper hand, or at least have a pressure to set up against Dynasty here. Now Lotus going very aggressively there under the tower, will successfully dive there, but Scan is just around the corner. The jump not quite far enough there from Lotus, and the kill going to Frankie. No, to Scan, of course, sorry.
yeah.
With that 1-for-1 trade on the mid lane.
Yeah, it was kind of like a little bit of panic. Like he saw the Wukong, he just wanted to get out, and then the jump was a little bit short. But in the end, it was a good try, and especially he just one-shotted Frankie there under the turret. So Lotus just knowing his limits, just knowing how far he can go in a matchup like that, and especially, and that's important, if you play Tristana mid lane, you need to know that. You need to see those moments, because otherwise, why are you playing Tristana mid lane, right? So she's an ADC. She needs to make something in the early game, especially because in most matchups you have the stronger auto attacks because you are an ADC, not like a mage or even an assassin who can't really get close with the auto attack. So you have the constant pressure, you have the constant opportunity to go for trades. And if you don't see those small windows where you can like 100 to 0 someone, then don't play Tristana mid lane. But Lotus, of course, is a really strong player, so he knows the limits. And maybe even with a bigger jump, he could have went out of the situation. Who knows? In the end, it was just a 1-for-1, which is okay for the Tristana because she didn't really knew that Scalen was there, so he just went for it. And in the end, got punished a little bit, but still. Now, with this lead in the mid lane, he can probably just one-shot him again with the ultimate up. So when he waits a little bit and Frankie just has bad movement, then he can try to go for it again.
Yeah, totally. Also the rotation now from that mid lane, and I think that's something that we can say in general about Lotus. He has been roaming a lot already this game. Does help out the Zac now with the Rift Herald there. However, Scan also joining in on that. They do get the steal there from Dynasty. Gabosh's jump gets even interrupted. Meanwhile, Akali and Lotus fighting at the bottom of that. But the camera doesn't seem to care too much as both have disengaged. So yeah, very nice steal there from Scan and no more kills coming out of the situation.
Yeah, can we just say how amazing Scalen plays this early game? Like, he is there in the bot lane to get the first blood, he is there in the mid lane to cover his mid laner and to secure his first own kill, and then he is there for the Herald to steal it. Like, my boy Scalen from Germany just at the moment.
We know you're totally biased.
I'm so biased. I'm sorry, but yeah, he just. I mean, I'm a color cast. I see good gameplay. I need to analyze it. That it is a good gameplay, right? So yeah.
No,
that's wonderful to play.
I totally agree. The steal was absolutely insane. And now we can see the bot lane here once again. Dynasty doing a good job of pushing that in as long as they still can. Ed was, of course, still being level 5. Once that Annie will hit level 6. I think there's a lot of potential for AOMA to start playing around the bot lane. And Gabosh knows that as well. So he's already starting to go towards his bot side jungle there. And we'll probably do one or two more camps until Edward actually hits the level 6.
Yeah. And then it's really easy to play. I mean, Lulu can't really survive the burst from both Annie and Twitch, and usually you can't really go for the Severe with the Annie, just because the spell shield just blocks the stun always. So you can just run on Snilla, ult him, burst him, and there's probably not much counterplay for Snilla, especially because he plays Ignite and not Exhaust, for example, which you could go for against the Annie, against the Tristana mid lane, against the Fiora. Like, yeah, there are plenty of good champions to Exhaust, but of course plenty of good champions to Ignite as well. So I can definitely understand Snilla's choice to go for this Ignite. And now we see the Dragon with the mid lane pressure, or not that much pressure, but at least she just pushed it out. So she has a little roam window there. And now with the bot lane being pushed in, they had enough time to take down this first Dragon of the game.
Yeah. Beautifully played, and that I think shows once again the importance of lane pressure, because like Dynasty just played themselves. They played themselves the window to take this dragon that fast by just pushing out lanes. Now AOMA trying something else on the top lane here. There's going to be the Dire Squarepants in a lot of danger here. Gabosh, however, will go down first of the tower here, but of course has still his Zac passive up, so it will only be a situation of blobs, and he will survive this. So a 1-for-0 trade here for AOMA, and something they desperately needed here. Now Rift Herald will be spawned on the bot lane. Dynasty, of course, reacting to their top lane play with a play on the bot lane. That's how Quasmap works, and this will at least get them some platings.
Oh, it's so wonderful to hear how you say cross-map plays. A play-by-play caster who knows how the game works. It's wonderful. Daniel, I like you. Anyway, yeah, it was. I mean, it's really important for AOMA that they go for dive top lane, just because they can just juggle the turret aggro with the sec plops, of course. And then it's really important to play around your Ferrora, just because she needs to be the fed split push carry to carry them in the later parts of the game. And in this case, they just got another kill for Lotus, which is really great as well, because your Tristana is kind of like the second hyper carry, which you can always try to peel in those team fights if she is fed, because that's the big the big plus. If you have like an ADC in the mid lane, he has levels, so he has a lot of more stats, and so he, especially a Tristana, who gets more range for every single level up with the passive. So she is just a stronger hyper carry than if she would sit in the bot lane, for example. So definitely something you can play around if you like to.
Yeah. And I think the situation being that this game is that even right now, and Annie is just now hitting her level 6, so I feel like at least around the bot lane, the game is just starting now for AOMA. We can see now also here the engage from AOMA. There is the Tibber. Sniller will be taken out here in the blink of an eye, and Dark UniQ has nothing but to retreat under his turret. Thus has of course the right tools to immediately clean the wave there, so that's at least something, but will he be able to defend the turret?
Yeah.
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 The answer is yes.
And like I said, with the level 6 of any, like, Sniller is always a one-shot. Ooh. Look at
Lotus nice ultimate there to defend himself.
Yeah. And that's something AOMA can always do. Like, just one-shot the Lulu in those situations and get your carries a little bit more ahead, which always should work. Ooh, you wise, maybe a little bit too far ahead.
Yeah, this might have been a good play if Sniller wasn't around. However, he did realize that early enough, loses only his flash, but gets out alive.
And the cleanse.
And the cleanse.
Yeah. So, for one auto, he just loses both summoners. Yeah, but just good by Sniller. And I think those are the situations. Oh, maybe Frankie in trouble.
Lotus trying to go in there, but Lotus immediately invisible there. So there's no more potential for him to auto attack. And of course that's what the damage of Tristana is based on. Mark now going a bit forward here to pressure scan off of that. With Terrell, I think they are kind of traumatized by that first one, so they make sure they really get this one and don't get it stolen away again.
No.
On the side of one-man AOMA esports.
I hope I have enough time to analyze that, but like the play on the bot side where they got both summoners from BWise, like it's such a classic play, especially in like this game, because you see that both supports are a lower level than the ADCs by far, like 2 levels difference. So both supports really like roam a lot in this game, and then they do those little fake roams where they just leave the lane so that the ADC just gets the XP on their own, just to give them a little bit higher level. And then if the ADC is in danger, they just come back. And
ooh, Mark is in a lot of danger here. The Ignite is ticking, and SquarePants gets the solo kill. Well, he got a lot of assistance by the tower, but still very well played by him. Mark running a bit too much there on the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, solo bolo against Mark. I mean, he definitely like struggled a little bit in the Olaf game, where he almost got solo killed a lot of times. But especially dying against Sejuani is really unlucky, but he will still outscale her. I mean, yeah, it's unlucky, but he is still 20 CS up, and maybe that's the dragon play.
Yeah, the engage is coming in there from Garbosh, but the dragon is already down. Nice double stun there. Beavis, unfortunately, a bit too far away there to really get his damage going. Frankie Knight trying to get into the backline there. and onto him. Meanwhile, Edward also is on the one there, but Scan doesn't want to let him go. There's the double kill for him, and now the rest of AOMA has to flee as well. Mark once more in a lot of danger. Frankie, however, will be taken down before he can get that kill, and now Lotus is there to save the day for AOMA Esports. No more kills going towards a Dynasty yet, but of course Buis is on the brink of an eye there and has to run for his life. When will he be running into the Sejuani there? Yes, probably. Squarepants getting another kill. He should just have backed in that bush before, and he might not have been caught, but of course that wasn't the case.
I mean, the biggest problem is you don't know where the enemy has wards. So just running through an unwarded brush, you don't know if they saw you. So he needs to keep running just to get out of vision, if there is vision. But in this case, there wasn't vision, but he doesn't know that. So he just runs a little bit further, and maybe if his team would have saw that Sejuani took this journey, then he would have knew that Sejuani could be there. But in the end, I mean, he tried to escape, he didn't, and yeah, the Dynasty in the end got one Drake, got a winning team fight, got the double kill on my boss Garen, and in the end just got a little bit more ahead. Frankie, in the meantime, died in the back line, and I think this team fight could have gone a lot more worse if Lotus, for example, had one more item or something. Because especially at this little tower dive in the end, if Lotus just has a little bit more attack speed, then he just kills them all there. So that's really, really dangerous if Dynasty just tries to do those flippy plays there, because they could have got punished by that. But in the end, it worked out.
I think in general in this fight a lot went well for Dynasty and a lot went worse for AOMA. Like also in the beginning you had Garbush engaging and Buis was still awkwardly behind this wall trying to attack over the wall, but he didn't quite get it with his ultimate, so a lot of his ultimate was ticking out without really getting out those DPS, and like that went already not too good for AOMA with their engage. And as you said, then under the tower I think Dynasty also can be very lucky that they didn't get too much damage there. Mark now in a bad position that gets caught by Dynasty. 3 people of them, probably no way he can escape that situation. And Dynasty now really is in for blood as Frankie is going in behind Lotus there. But there's an Edward, there's a Tibbers, and there's going to be a kill for Lotus. We just talked about him that he is going to be that hyper carry for AOMA, and they are definitely in for blood for him now, as they want to get him ahead.
Yeah, and like a kill on Mark like that is always a little bit unlucky, because like you had all your resources top lane. So you tried to get the tier 1 turret on top lane with 4 people, and that means if nobody defends that some people maybe get to your split pusher, because if they don't defend top lane, where should they be? And of course they are where the most pressure is, and Fiora standed under the turret, queued forward, so there's a lot of pressure, and of course they will try to kill her. So if you know that your whole team like gets something on one side of the map, usually you can try to play a little bit more safe to not be the focus target for the enemy team. But I mean, you almost got out of there, and it was just really well played there from Lulu to like find a knock-up, to like have the support item for the speed ups, and then of course it's always hard. The support can speed up all of them, and the ADC can speed up all of them. So Mark in other constellations would have just got out, but against this team comp, it's just too hard, because they are all just run fast at you.
Also, this game is so dead even up to now.
Yeah.
I mean, you only have a 2 Drake difference here, really, that goes into the advantage of Dynasty. But as you mentioned last game, it sometimes can even be an advantage not having those first two Drakes and then being able to stack up Drakes of the same kind to stack the advantages of that one. Of course, this time we are talking about Clown Drakes, so how much of a difference will that really make? We have the engage here now, and scanned immediately beautifully with the ultimate into the backline. There Bewis immediately has to flash away, but won't get away. Mug and him are already down. Dynasty just playing these team fights beautifully. Gabosh also being taken out now, so that's 3 people down, 4 people down of AOMA. Kali with the triple kill, that will come in handy for Frankie, and now another break going into their hands. Yeah, beautiful played by Dynasty, and of course now we have one team in the lead.
Yeah, and like Scarin just finding the engage into the backline, one-shotting the enemy's AD carry, and then Frankie just cleaning it up, because there was so much like AoE damage. Like there was the Wukong Cyclone, then there was all the severe like boomerang bounces, and then even the Sichuani deals a lot of like AoE damage with the W, with the Q. Oh, it tries to jump.
Gabosh trying to go in there, stopping some backwards, but I don't
they try it.
think
They try
will
it.
be able to. Ooh, okay. Mark is no, it's Edward coming in. He has his stun up, will get the stun out as well, and they will get Frankie. That's a nice shutdown for Gabosh there.
At least something, and I think that was really important, because Frankie normally, especially with teleport, like can split push, and just playing against Baron buff on every single lane is really hard to defend. So just getting the Baron buff from one of the side laners helps tremendously to defend those turrets versus Baron. So really crucial pickup by Gabosh, together with Edward, of course. And like because of that, there are still like in the in-game, I mean, it's almost 3 items on the Tristana, and especially if Edward tries to pee them a lot, then this Tristana can definitely do something. But it will be so rough against Galen, against Squarepants, just a lot of engage. And one really tricky thing about those team fights is that who can you engage? Like, you can't really see Twitch because he's always stealth. Then there's Marcus on the side lane, so you can't engage Mark. And most of the time, Zac sits on the brush or something to find the perfect jump. So basically, the only 2 people you always see is Tristana and Annie. And so, of course, all the engage will usually go on Tristana and Annie. And that will make those team fights for AOMA really, really hard.
Yeah, talking about engage, there is one from AOMA, but it gets countered by Akali there, and now we have a 1-for-1 trade there. Gabosh, will he lose his life for this? But AOMA still with a very nice push there on the bot lane, making sure they gain some ground there because before the Baron really starts ticking in here for Dynasty, and of course already taking that Baron off of Frankie is very nice for them, as they are currently the leading the team that is being behind. So a 1-for-1 trade is no shame for AOMA.
Nope.
Also able to defend that top lane quite well. So far Dynasty got that Baron, had a very nice play in front of that, but they haven't been able to do much with it so far.
Yeah, they just got a little bit pressure, just some farm here and there, but they didn't really crack the base. And especially like if you want to play a clean game, for example, most likely some analysts will say that the first turret line, so all the tier 1 turrets, you get by just clean macro. So getting the first turret, rotating a bot lane to the second turret and stuff. So cracking the first turret line is really easy by just grouping and having a fat ADC to siege those turrets. And then the tier 2 turrets, usually people say that with the Baron buff, those tier 2 turrets are really easy to siege, and then you can just take them down. But all tier 2 turrets are still standing. So AOMA really did a great job right now to defend the whole Baron and not losing a single tier 2 turret from that. So really well played by them. And there's the engage on Lotus.
There's the engage on Lotus, who is losing a lot of health really fast. Kill will go to Dark UniQ here, of course. And yeah, nice catch there from Dynasty, of course. And I just wanted to say that AOMA was not only able to defend the Baron very well, but also diminish the goat lead a little bit. But now that kill related.
Yeah. I don't know.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say a little bit, but yeah, AOMA doing a great job at defending here.
Yeah, but now, especially with Lotus down, that could be a tough time to defend the Soul. I mean, AOMA has a lot of luck that it's just clone Soul, but they'd still try to fight it, and there could be the teleport from Lotus in the backline.
Yeah, actually it's going to be in the Hex stack, so just putting that out there as we are going into the team fight here. Frankie is already in it. Nice catch there, immediately onto Lotus again, who just TP'd in and will be taken out again. Edward now first, the next one here to fall as Scan is diving deep into the backline. AOMA now trying to go for their for Dynasty's backline, but it won't be enough, and that's the clean ace for Dynasty here, as they are probably taking down the game.
Yeah, or at least they will get a lot of turrets, the Soul, so it's definitely game-winning what they did in this team fight, just winning a clean ace and just demolishing AOMA in a team fight. In the end, we got tricked a little bit by the spectate overview, but I mean, it's an indie company, so of course it's showing us the wrong Drake icon in the top. So we got tricked a little bit, but of course there were hex gates and stuff, so yeah, we are both just boosted, and that's fine, totally. It's fine as a caster to be boosted. Yeah, funny.
That's why we are casting.
Yeah, we are not playing that, so we can talk whatever we want, and so this is a really useful Soul. And I don't know if you remember how all of that like started. Like they got the catch on the Tristana. Like I said, she's like the only target you can reliable just engage, because she will always go to wave because she wants to farm. She's a Cree ADC, so she just sees a minion and thinks, yeah, that's mine, and then just got caught. Yeah, and because no of the other champions are really seen on the map, split pusher, invisibility, and then of course Zac just sitting in a brush. So and Annie will not approach a wave like that. So Tristana's just really an easy target, and the matchup against Wukong is just really unfavorable for her, because if he can jump to you, he can just stop your jump with his ultimate, so the knockup will stop her only disengage, and then she has the opportunity to ult him away, but in this case just there came the next knockup, and I think he even dodged like the ultimate, maybe with his clone, I didn't saw that. But in the end, if 4 people jump on you and you will just ult away the Wukong, you will die anyway. So it was just a really well played catch by Dynasty, and with that, the Soul is on a silver platter, and then they tried their best to find and engage, but especially we will not see a replay, but you might remember that Frankie just sitted in the brush in the river when they tried to enter it. So he was in a perfect flank position, and then of course you can just run them over because you have a Severe, so you have like the possibility to always find the engage if you want. Yeah, if you are
I
the
think
team
also
during
that last fight, what was very important for Dynasty, you had AOMA coming in, and Lotus was like a little bit splitted from the team, like because most of AOMA was in that river, and AOMA like Lotus was in the cave just next to it, coming into the river, and Dynasty immediately jumped onto Lotus, took out Lotus, and then they started the rest of the team fight. And with that, of course, they had the biggest damage source from AOMA already out of their way. The biggest danger was out of their way, and then they just had a very easy team fight against Dynasty. So beautiful against AOMA. So beautifully played there by Dynasty. We're now going to start their second round.
That's a really interesting play, by the way. They have the split pusher Fiora and Tristana, who is really good in tower taking, on the side lane just to do a base race. So they will go for the Baron.
Steven goes in with execute the steal. Yeah, that's huge for AOMA, who are, as we said, into this base race. And now, of course, Dynasty will try to clean up a little bit there off AOMA, and they will use
stop the
that Baron
recoils.
to go back, but it won't work as AOMA is stopping them from doing so. Edward is there, but two people did get back, are able to stop Mark there, but 2 towers down. Huge by AOMA to try and just like flip coin this game and somehow still win it. But of course it will go to Dynasty now as they have successfully aced AOMA there. Will take the Nexus down now. Beautiful play there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, I really. I mean, it's totally well played by Dynasty. They deserve to win and stuff. But with this base race, I mean, AOMA, it was so close, and I could have saw them winning this game with that. I mean, it was so intelligent from them to go for the space race because they all will compete for the Baron with all 5 people, so they have all the time on the world. And if they stop the recalls, then they can just go for it. And I mean, the display just works because they stole the Baron, because with just 4 seconds recall, they will probably not win the base race. And even with those 8 seconds, Akali somehow came in the base and just one-shotted the Tristana because it's an assassin against an ADC, I mean, what a matchup. So it didn't work out for them, but it was really close, especially, I think it just didn't work out because they had no wave. So you already saw Tristana auto-attacking the second Nexus turret, but there was no wave, so the turret was really tanky. And then they lost like 2 or 3 seconds because the wave just didn't came to the turret. And yeah, so it was really unlucky, but it was like the best play they could have done, and it almost worked out.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic, fantastically played there at the end, and also in general, like such a close game, beautiful. Yeah. But all games have to come to an end, of course, and I think this was a very climatic end. What will also come to an end is, well, not yet come to an end, of course, but we will go into a short break before the next game between Once Upon a Team and Aurora, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it should be Aurora. And yeah, during the break, of course, don't forget to bring in your donations for ABAP as they are doing great work in Syria, no. In Syria and Turkey, of course, that's what I wanted to say, to provide shelter, food and medical supplies to the victims of the earthquakes. You can scan either one of those QR codes on screen right now, or just in general, like the PayPal link is everywhere around to get your donations in. And with that, we will go into a quick break and we will see each other after that for Once Upon a Team against Aurora.